What up? Welcome to the first episode of Righteous and Ratchet. I am your boy, Doughboy, with my brother
Kev on stage.
And that's the homie in the background, you know, Dope Bomb, all that good stuff. So, Righteous and Ratchet, what is it? What are we watching? What is this? Let's kind of give a quick breakdown. It's about being righteous like Kev is, because Kev is wholesome and he lives his life the right way. He's righteous, but he's living in a ratchet world. How does he do it? How does he stay holy, keep his family values, God first, all that stuff? How does he maneuver through that? And ratchet. I'm ratchet. I'm out here in these streets, and it's a ratchet world, but I want to be holy because my heart is holy. So how do I get righteous while living in a ratchet world? How does he be righteous? Oh, so you get it. First episode. That was crazy. I was like, okay, you're talking too much. They get it. All right, cool. I'm insulting their intelligence. So, first topic we are going to be addressing is, can you have a blessed marriage if you get them draws before you get married?
Oh, no. Can you have a blessed marriage if you have sex with your wife before marriage?
Before you do it. So, I mean, can you do it? Like, how?
I mean, I'm going to put it to you like this.
Okay.
I had sex before marriage.
But not with your wife.
But not with my wife.
And so she had not had sex.
She had not had sex. I was ratchet.
Okay.
I'm not really righteous.
You had one summer. I hate him. He always talks about one summer where he went out and smashed.
Summer of '99 was crazy.
He smashed like 2 girls, and he thinks he's Hugh Hefner. You had one summer. Relax. Okay, so you had sex before you had marriage. So let's talk about that. Let's expound on that a little bit more.
Yeah.
Can your marriage be blessed regardless if you have sex before you get married?
Well, I mean, I feel like that's going to be a large percentage of the people in the world.
Right, but we're going by off what goes on in the Bible, and the Bible says you're not supposed to do it.
Well, here's the thing. Yes, it can be blessed. The thing that...
Well, let's break it down into two sides.
Okay.
Let's talk about as a person, so not even as a marriage. We'll get to that in a second. But as a person, so as you, Kevin, can you have a blessed marriage if you have sex before you get married?
What do you mean? What's a blessed marriage?
That one that stays together, it doesn't end up in divorce. And you're happy. And you love them and they love you.
I don't think having sex before marriage is going to be a factor for whether you get divorced or not.
So then by that rationale, then you can't have a blessed. Because I feel like that's the only thing that makes it not a blessed marriage is if you get divorced.
You could not have sex before marriage and be verbally abusive or physically abusive. That's not a blessed marriage, and you're
not happy.
Yeah, but that is, you could be broke. There's a lot of people who didn't have sex before marriage. I mean, blessed is such a
vague term.
Yeah, like what does that mean?
Successful. Let's call it successful. Can you have a successful marriage if you have sex before you get married?
Here's what I'll say.
Okay.
I didn't understand why not having sex was important before marriage until I got married, right? And the reason is, like, say you got person A, person B, they never had sex before, and they get to figure out sex together.
Right.
I like it when you lick
I
here.
like this.
I don't like when you
grab my ankle.
Yeah.
Pull the hair. Okay.
So now you take person A who's had sex. Person B, like my scenario. Person B hadn't had sex. So now you have all these things that you found out you like, and you're like, hey,
do this.
The girl from the summer of '99 did this.
Right.
I'm gonna need you to do that. The other thing is, now multiply that by how many times you've done that.
Right.
Right.
With how many people?
How many people? And you got all these different things. So now you're taking in, like in the insurance industry, what they call pre-existing conditions into your.
You had this problem before you brought it to us.
Right. Or say you watch a lot of pornography, and you was like, you expecting your now wife to be able to do what
these other girls
Ebony does.
Right. And she
Alexis, Texas.
And she's not about you letting you put it in her butt.
All right. Or the other way around. Maybe your girl was out there opening up that flower to every bee.
To everybody. Hey, look at this. It's a flower.
Yeah. Right. So I didn't understand that until I got married, and I was just like, man, because you be thinking of like, man,
Was that difficult to deal with?
Yeah.
Because she had never done it, so you almost got to be like, okay, this goes here, and this goes here, and boom goes the dynamite.
It's not that dramatic, but
right.
But she was sexually inexperienced, and so was I really. I mean, I wasn't out there like that. but I have more experience than her. So
Yeah, you had a whole hot summer.
Yeah,
You had
20
3
records.
glorious months.
Taking over for the 99 and 2000. So if I had it over to do it again, I would rather have built, you know, my entire sexual relationship
with her.
With her.
So that's that summer. You would
I
have
would have
skipped
wiped that
summer.
summer off.
Alright.
You know what I mean, and not taking any of those pre-existing conditions into my marriage. But you know, it
Okay.
didn't happen that
And,
way.
and let's just talk real. We're gonna talk reality on Righteous and Ratchet. So nobody is really. If you're abstaining from sex up until if you get 2 people that get married that do that, those are 2 unicorns. That doesn't happen much. So let's just talk about just people, just regular people. Let's just assume everybody's had sex before they get married.
Yeah.
Should these 2 people that are about to get married do it before they get married? And if they do, can that marriage be successful? What I mean successful, can they be happy and flourish in it?
I think those are 2. I would not recommend to do it,
Okay.
but I don't think that is any barometer of successful.
But see, that's my thing, and I think that's where I struggle. And you and I have had personal conversations about this. It's like things are now a lot different in 2016 than they were in the Bible. The Bible is where we go to get our information.
Yeah.
Basic instructions before leaving the earth is the acronym. So if that's what I'm supposed to do,
Unofficial acronym.
right? But they was getting married when they was like 15,
12.
12. These is kids. They're like, hold on, man, I gotta go to 7th period. What you about to do? I'm gonna go get married, man. The wife is she's riding me hard. Like that was what the reality would be. So it's not like that anymore. Most of us are having sex. So how are we? Because I come from an environment where I like to smash raw. What's my slogan? Condoms are for suckers.
It's a terrible slogan.
But it's a slogan nonetheless. And I come from I've done it a lot with a lot of women, and I'm like, yo, that is like me test driving the car before. I need to know what I'm getting into. Like, you don't order something you've never, like, I can't do. I need to taste the food.
You started 3 different analogies.
I don't
That's
know.
like test driving. Chinese food is when you got a lawnmower and grow grass.
Is water wet? So I just need to know what I'm getting. Like, so I don't know that I could just say.
Well, here's the thing, man. Here's what people don't understand. A great sexual relationship is built over time.
Right.
Right? One of the main things that people don't ever like put any credence to is like the type of sex you can have with somebody that you're married to and love. There's this whole condemnation thing. Like, how many girls have you had sex with and you're like, I don't know what she got?
Yeah. Like when I'm about to have sex, how many girls have I looked at? Like, is she safe?
Yeah.
I look at all of them like that because you never know.
Exactly. And
Right.
how many of them would you be like, if she got pregnant right now in this experience, I would be cool with that. Right? So once you finish the job
At hand.
yeah. Most of the time, you go into if you're trying to live right, you're like the summer of '99. Most of the time, immediately after sex and sometimes during, you already feeling guilty
Absolutely.
and condemned.
Spiritually,
you're
yes.
already feeling guilty and condemned. Like, you can't even, like, there's this, physically, your body's like, oh, all right.
Hey,
You know, it's just like eating ice cream. If
Right.
you're trying to do right and you are crunching up some Oreos and putting it in ice cream,
Right.
like, it's delicious, but you're just like, I really shouldn't be eating this.
I'm gonna regret this later.
Right.
Right.
So multiply that by the fact that you could get burnt up or babied up.
Messed around or mess around and get the no receipt. That
Yeah.
means either that young or herp or that young magic.
So the you know, like when you have sex with your wife and you know she's clean and
You
you're
know what
clean,
to expect.
and if she has a baby, you're happy about it. Like
Right.
that is a different sexual level. Also, when you have a lot of sex out of marriage, you're not having sex the way we're designed, which is for two
Guys
people who are,
involved.
who are in love. So how often are you really giving yourself fully to this person? Like totally open.
Never.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So, and that's what people miss out.
Like, I'll mess around and finish and be like, so what you about to do?
Right. You ain't calling an Uber for your wife. You know what I mean? So I don't think people give enough because they haven't had that.
Right.
You know, they imagine sex when you're married is just boring and same old missionary position.
Home.
I'm gonna bed my wife. It's like, bed your wife.
Gonna go ahead and dot the I's and cross the T's.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be like that. It often isn't like that.
Right.
And as you age in your marriage and you start, and here's the other thing. Like, I love this analogy. It's one of my favorite analogies. Right? You know Peyton Manning, right? NFL quarterback.
All reliable.
Reliable. Had like first 11 years he had the same offensive coordinator, same coach.
Did
Right?
he?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So if you learn your wife this she likes. You know, you whatever that is,
Right.
whatever
Turn
button
around, move here. Ah!
whatever
There you
that
go.
is you learned in '08,
Right.
and she still likes that, and you're learning all the new stuff, and you are able to get to a place of happiness much faster. Right. So if you having sex with a new person every time, you don't know what she likes, what you like.
Right.
She's
And
doing
you're learning
something.
on the fly. So it's almost like taking somebody that hasn't played in the game and just putting them in the game, facing
Exactly.
defenses.
No practice, no playbook.
You came up with that?
I came up with that. And that's why I'm like, man, you
Solid.
can have so much better sex because you told him, you know, I don't like that. I don't like when you do that.
And
Go a little faster, a little slower, a little
To
harder.
make your analogy even better, so when you take him away from that offensive coordinator, he's no longer the same player.
Exactly.
So he's
now
not
take
as
a quarterback
effective.
who has a new coach every season, new playbook, new philosophy. Now he can't be as successful because he's so busy trying to learn the stuff. He can't really operate in the freedom.
That is genius level analogy.
I'm operating. I'm 12 years in on freedom.
Wow.
If
With
I
the
know
same,
she
with the
likes
same coach and the same quarterback.
coach, same
That-
staff.
wow, that's
Going to the
big.
Super Bowl every
God is the coach. Your wife is your quarterback because they are very much the
and she's
quarterbacks.
getting
of a-
sacked.
You don't want nobody that'll take 100 sacks.
Right, exactly. So that's one thing I
That's
think people
gold.
people are like, well, I'm missing on a great sex. And usually what they mean by that is flips and tricks.
Right.
And she can throw it back.
Bells
She can-
and whistles.
Yeah. But
Smoke
they're,
and mirrors.
but they're not taking in the love and giving yourself and trust.
The fact that I'm gonna lay with this woman after this and just hold her.
Yeah.
I don't get that. See, when you out here ratchet in the world, I really be like, so what you about to get into? Like I disrespected this girl so bad the other day. Like she came through and like smash. Like she wasn't talking about smashing. She was like, let's just go to sleep. I was like, all right, cool. 5 minutes later, I was like, yo, your Uber outside. Nigga, she was hot. She was livid. I was like, yo, your Uber's outside. But let me ask you this, because people always say you're not supposed to have sex before you get married. You used to be an assistant pastor, right?
No.
A pastor?
Youth pastor.
Youth pastor, so okay, that's cool. Where does it say it in the Bible that you're not supposed to do it? Because that's the number one thing everybody tries to fix, and that just boils my grits. As soon as somebody tries to get
I
their
don't
life
have
right,
the scriptures memorized.
which one is it?
I think it's pretty clear not to fornicate.
Okay,
It's
so what we're
separate.
going to do is we're going to do the research, and we'll put it up.
I'm
But-
sure somebody can put in the comments.
But does it say why?
Most of the stuff the Bible talks about is with sexual sins is about being impure.
Okay.
It's taking something that was designed for something else and not using it the right way. For example,
Okay.
car,
Car.
safe vehicle. When you have,
Point A to point B.
if you know how to drive, you have taken the test.
Okay.
You are of age. You are aware, and you're of sober mind. A car is not dangerous. If I put
Nigga, you might have the best analogy game in the world.
if I put my 6-year-old behind the vehicle of the same car,
Jeez.
and he gets into an accident, is it the car's fault?
No.
The car was designed correctly.
It's
The
you put-
user
Wow.
was not prepared to drive the car, therefore it's dangerous. So sex is like a car. When used right, it's perfectly safe. When in the hands of somebody who's not prepared or not in the right scenario, even if you are right. And you've been drinking,
Right.
now the car is dangerous.
But it's always the user because it's built to drive, but it's not built for street racing. It's not built
Exactly.
for doing donuts in the middle
Yeah,
of the
you
street.
wouldn't go try to fly an airplane. Even if they said, hey, Doe, you can be the pilot on this flight from here in Sacramento.
Tiger,
You'd be
yes.
like, no,
No,
I don't know how to fly planes.
So
Like,
basically, you don't really. But I think the only thing I differ with that is that you can learn how to have sex if you do it enough. You can't just learn how to. No, but that actually is right because usually if you start off.
well, I'm not talking about learning to drive. I'm talking about the car is not designed
The car.
for a person to use it at the wrong time.
Got
And
it.
that's why it's dangerous.
And it's assumed that if you're going to be operating this vehicle, that you have done the necessary things. So that would be like in my position. So it's not. So me waiting to get married is me going to driver's education,
Bingo.
going to with the tutor driver.
Bingo. Because look what happens when you have sex outside of marriage. Now you have, right, so God designed the marriage to lead to the family.
Right.
Right? So now you have a baby that is not, or it's not in a natural or neutral, or not natural.
The way that it was created is
Nuclear.
Nuclear.
family.
Okay.
So now you have a father that's not in the home, and now that baby is having something's not right in their development,
Right.
Because their father or mother is not there. Now maybe you got 2 kids separated, so you're not able to parent those kids in the correct way.
So now, so it's the same thing with the car. Like, yeah, it's set up right, but now you're just using it all the wrong.
Right. Like if I
never
drive
looked
my
at
car
it
and
like
ran
that.
over people, like
Well, that's not what it was made for. But
Exactly.
it's never the car's
bingo.
fault. But let me ask you this though, because this is what I noticed. I noticed when people are trying to get their life right and stop doing, living wrong, whatever there is they're doing. Why is that the first thing that they stop is sex? Is it because it's a physical thing? Because in the Bible, from what I understand, all sins are created equal. So
Yeah.
me killing somebody is equal to me lying to you.
Yeah.
They're all sins.
The
All
Bible even
sins are-
says liars will have a special place.
Right, a
in the
special
lake of
place so yeah, but why is that? So when I try to get right, I'm like, you know what, man, I'm gonna start living right. I'm gonna start living for the Lord. Why is the first thing I say is I'm gonna stop smashing these randoms? Like, why?
I don't know. That's.
But have you noticed that?
No,
That
yeah,
most people do
absolutely. That's absolutely true. I don't know, man. I think that it's just because all sins could be equal, but the response or the consequences could be more dangerous.
Right. Okay.
You know, what I mean, just like a crime.
Right.
You know, a crime is a crime. If you're a criminal, you're a criminal. But a misdemeanor is not
Right.
viewed the same as a felony.
Murder ain't the same as a parking ticket.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's because, and mind you, I didn't go to theology school or seminary, and I'm not a pastor. I can't even tell you the 66 books of the Bible in order right now.
Right.
Because in my app, it's alphabetical now.
Mhm.
It's been a long time since I had to use the
And to
memory.
crack that thing open.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but when I was reading books like Every Man's Battle, it was just the Bible does talk a lot about sexual sins being. It's about purity and things like that.
And do you think that's because you take on another person's energy when you're smashing them?
It could be. I mean,
Their
you're literally
spirit.
like you're going inside their orifice. Their
Orifice. Bang, bang,
That
like I like to
sound,
refer to it as.
you know, like, I don't know, this isn't scientific, but soul ties, you've heard that term
I
before?
have heard that.
Soul ties and, all that other type of stuff. I mean, you're actually passing fluid back and forth.
From your body.
Yeah, pHs. And you
Ugh.
don't know what they got.
And you're taking on their spiritual things. So whatever they're dealing with spiritually, this is all having sex as well. So I'm not just having sex with this chick. My spirit.
What if she got demons?
Right, and so now her
And the clap.
and her demons and the clap. But let's talk about this, and then we can start to wrap it up, dog. So, because me and you talking about this all the time. Like, if y'all, I think one day we should publish our text conversations because they're the most. I go back and read them sober, like, what was I talking about? And why did he tell me to get off his phone with it? But a lot of stuff that we deal with is that I'm 37 years old. Kev is 33.
Yes.
33. 33 is like it's a special age in a man's life, apparently.
Is it?
You heard that? Yeah. So, but in any event, so I'm 37, I'm 33. He's married and has been married since you were 22?
21.
21. And I was married for 84 days. And so, is it even realistic for me now at 37 to wait until marriage? And like this late, it's like coming in the fourth quarter of a game. Like,
Here's what I'll say about that. And this is, so mind you, I lost my virginity when I was 16.
Okay.
And other people have other ages, but one thing that's commonly said, I mean, although 16 is young, I had been trying to smash for years
Right.
before that.
I smashed, I think I was
Or 15.
I was
actually.
16.
I was
actually.
15.
And she was older. She was 20. Damn. That was
You got-
Shamia.
Great.
Yeah, I low-key took advantage of it.
Molested.
but I'm okay with it. But she was 20. But okay, we're going.
What I was going to say is like, what you think about sex and how hard it is, once you actually have sex, it's much more difficult
Right.
to like stop.
Right.
doing
To, to refrain from
Yeah,
doing
like
it.
it's much harder. So now that you're having sex, like it's like me being married, right? I've been having unprotected sex
From the
for
rip.
years,
And
right?
you've been doing condoms for such
Right.
condoms for such.
So if I, God forbid something happened to my marriage and I'm out here in the streets
You be right here with me.
and I'm just like trying to, or even if I'm married, my wife's, birth control ain't on, I gotta use a condom, I'm gonna be like, what is
What is that? And let me tell you, it alters your performance. It's like
Yeah.
the body don't want that on it because I don't
Right.
feel like it's the natural
Yeah.
thing. Like, get this thing off me.
So I said all that to say it's like it is difficult. Especially if you have had sex. Like if you haven't had sex, I feel like it's not necessarily easy or
Right.
easier because curiosity is there. But once you have that feeling, it's like a crackhead chasing that first high.
Exactly. But somebody keeps waving the crack in front of your face.
Yeah, and we live in a super sexualized
And in ours, even more.
and
So
in Hollywood, in the industry we work in,
oh my.
it's that times a
And they
thousand.
want it all the time, and it's
they'll
just
do it to be put for the
just to be put in a position.
in a sketch.
Oh, you casting? Well, what exactly needs to be done?
Right.
Let me
So,
see.
and like I always think about this, like when I was a kid, if I wanted to watch porn, which I did, it was not necessarily really easy to get my hands on.
Right.
Like my boy would have had to have a tape. You gotta steal a
There's
magazine.
a box under somebody's dad's bed.
Right. It was very
Right.
difficult. Like
And then you had to rewind it back to the spot so you weren't found out.
exactly.
Now you can just put Pornhub
You
on your
could put
phone
nipples, and you
and
have
pick all the. I want a midget having
Nipple
sex
sex.
with a tall
Right.
person on a farm. 100 videos.
exactly, and you have that. Plus, you have social media. You have unsolicited news. So we lived in a overly. I mean, the Bible day wasn't no nudes being sent.
Wasn't nobody sliding DMs?
You can't send nudes via Raven. We're like, hey, this is what I look like. Somebody had to draw that. Like, so I feel like
Right.
and mind you, it's gonna be even more difficult for our kids. Like,
Right.
all that stuff is at their fingertips. You know, literally. So it wasn't even like this for us in high school.
It was.
You know, our Nokia phone could only play Snake. Now you can send the Snake.
Having sex
Right.
with a unicorn. Like, it's
Yeah,
just
I mean,
so many-
like FaceTime and Snapchat. That's how Snapchat first popped off, was penis pics.
I'm telling you, man. I think that's what's ruined it for this our generation is technology.
Yes.
But in closing, what would you say to somebody like me? So if you got to give advice to 37-year-old Kev who never got married, doesn't have a wife, but he wants to have a wife. How do you do that? Do you smash? Do you take it down? Do you try to fight the good fight?
I'm always going to be a proponent of fighting a good fight. I realize that the good fight is difficult and more difficult. One thing that helped me in the summer of '99 was finding somebody who was like-minded.
Okay.
So, like, if you got a girl who, you know, is throwing it at you,
Right.
and you're trying to stop you, the chances of you being successful are slim to none.
Right.
Right. So the one thing that Melissa was for me that was very helpful was she was somebody who was trying to be where I was trying to be.
Right.
She was celibate and
Fighting a good fight.
Fighting a good fight. So it made it easier. It wasn't necessarily easy.
But
But
it
if
makes
I would have
it
been with somebody
easier.
who was like, come on, get it, and here's a picture of me, or here's my drawers in your mailbox, or whatever the case is, I wouldn't have stood a chance. Like, I just wasn't in a position to withstand that type of, you know, sexual pressure.
Right.
So it's all about, you know, it's going to be about who you
Okay.
spend your time with and whether they share the same values as you. Because if they don't, you know, you can't achieve the same goal if you don't share the same values.
Exactly, and that's kind of like what I'm dealing with, because you know the situation that I'm in. So I have this woman that I believe is my wife. We haven't had sex
Yeah.
yet, but I like to have sex. So we haven't had it yet, and I feel like if we do, it might ruin it. So what I'm going to do with her is just try not to. I've even convinced myself that if I have sex with other girls, it's okay as long as I don't have sex with this one. But that's not fair to her. So that's what I will keep doing to try to fight the fight. And if I do ever get married, I'm going to try my absolute hardest to not have sex before I get married. We'll see what happens. Hopefully it's not another 84-day experiment. This has been your boy, Doughboy, a.k.a. Thugs Bunny. And
Kept
my
on
man,
stay.
like, subscribe, and we're going to keep doing this if you guys like it. So,
Righteous and Ratchet, make sure to hit us up with any topics that you
any
would like
topics
to
that
cover.
y'all want to talk about. You know, if you're trying to be, if you ratchet, or you got to be either Team Ratchet, which is me, or be Team Righteous. And let us know what you want.
Somewhere in the middle.
Somewhere in the middle. All right.
All right.
Yeah.